I told myself I was done so many times, I seriously lost count. And every single time I meant it. I meant it when my kids were crying. I meant it when I was sitting in my car at 2 a.m. wasted. I meant it when I made promises and I fully intended to keep them. And then somehow I'd end up right back where I started, hiding, using, lying, and hating myself for it. If that's you, if you've sworn you were done and gone back anyway, I need you to hear something before we go any further. That doesn't mean you were lying. It doesn't mean you're hopeless. It means there's a pattern underneath the behavior that no one's ever explained to you. And in this video, I'm going to explain it to you. Hey, my name is Shannon. I'm a licensed addiction counselor and a person in long-term recovery. I've worked in the recovery field for over a decade. So basically this means that I've lived on both sides of this desk. And this is the recovery mirror. Here we're going to talk about patterns underneath our behavior without shame, judgment, and without pretending change is easy or simple. Before I start, this is just a quick note. This is for educational purposes only, not therapy or crisis care. If you are in danger right now, please reach out to a crisis line or emergency services. Okay, so let's talk about why you keep going back to substance use. I want to start here because this is where shame gets the loudest in our heads. And a lot of people look at the repeated pattern and tell themselves, I must not have really meant it when I said I was done, or I must not really want to change, or I must be broken. I must be one of those people who never gets it. But honestly, that is not completely true. I believe you absolutely meant it. You meant it when you lost that last job. You meant it after that fight that broke something inside of you. You meant it the night you sat in the bathroom floor and swore out loud this was the last time. You see, I know you meant it because I meant it. But here's the hard truth nobody tells you. Meaning it isn't the same as being ready for what comes next. A strong emotional moment can absolutely create a real desire for change. But a desire to change is not the same as having a quality plan, a solid support system, the valuable skills, and the sincere honesty, and a new way of responding when that old pain shows back up. Here's a question I wish more people ask themselves. What did that behavior or substance give me in that moment? Now listen, I'm not talking about what it cost you. We all know what it cost you. But in the moment, what did it give you? For some people, it gave some relief. For some, it is escape. For others, it gave us a break from the shame, grief, loneliness, or pressure that just felt unbearable. Now, please understand, that doesn't mean that the behavior is healthy or helpful in the long term. It doesn't mean it was harmless or that there weren't any consequences. But what it does do is help to explain why people go back even after feeling a strong desire to change. Honestly, painful patterns survive when they're doing a job. Maybe not a good job or a safe job, but in that moment in time, that pattern may have felt like the only thing that would work for you. That's why saying, I will never do that again is just not enough. Because if the substance was giving you relief, you're going to need another way to deal with the pain. If it was giving you escape, you'll need another way to face what feels unbearable. If it was giving you numbness, you'll need another way to tolerate what you're feeling. Understand, you're not just removing a substance, even though it is very important. You're also learning how to live without something that you used to help you survive for years. I gotta tell you, that's deep work. Here's another thing nobody ever explains to you. The brain will always remember relief faster than it remembers consequences. Let me say that again because I think it's very important. The brain remembers relief faster than it remembers consequences. In the moment of pressure, your mind doesn't replay the whole story. It doesn't say, remember how bad it got last time, or don't you remember about that shame? Do you remember what it cost us? Nope. In a high risk moment, the brain remembers one thing and one thing only. This gave me relief before, and I bet you it will give it to me again. That's why recovery takes more than willpower. Willpower works for a hot second, but when stress, shame, loneliness, craving, or exhaustion show up, the old pathways get super loud in our heads. Now, I'm not saying you have no responsibility. It means you need more than a promise, though. You need some awareness. You need a solid plan. You need to understand what your high risk situations are before you're standing right in the middle of one. And listen, a high risk situation isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a feeling, a person, or payday. And sometimes this may surprise you. It's success, because success can feel unfamiliar and scary too. So instead of asking, why did I do that again? Start asking this. What was happening right before I went back? That's where the pattern starts to show itself. Now let's talk about shame for a moment. Because in my opinion, shame is the thing that keeps the entire cycle alive. And it looks something like this. You feel some pain. You go and you use your substance. Next comes the feelings of regret. Then shame moves in. Then you isolate. Then the pain gets louder. Then you want relief again. And bingo. Same old pattern starts looking like the only solution all over again. And I just want to be clear here, because shame doesn't speak kindly to us, does it? It doesn't say you made a bad choice that needs to be looked at. Shame says you're disgusting. You're hopeless. You always ruin everything. You'll never change. You might as well keep going. And when someone starts to believe that, going back can almost feel like the only logical option in that moment. Because if I'm already hopeless, why try? If I already ruined everything, why stop now? If I'm already the problem, why keep fighting this fight? See, that's why this channel is built around one solid belief, and that is that shame says you are the problem, but recovery says there is a pattern we need to understand. Now, understand, that doesn't remove responsibility. It gives responsibility somewhere useful to go. Because shame keeps you stuck in identity. Reflection lets you look at the pattern. So what do you do instead? Well, I encourage you, for starters, to be radically self-forgiving. You never intended for it to go this far. And then you don't just make a promise in your strongest moment. You make a plan to cover your ass in your weakest. Because let's face it, when you're crying, exhausted, scared, lonely, craving relief, you won't rise to the level of your good intentions. You'll fall to the level of your preparation. So here are 4 questions just to sit with. Number 1, what usually happens right before I go back? Really consider this. Was it conflict, rejection, aloneness, getting paid, feeling like a failure, or were you just bored? Number 2, what was I hoping the behavior would give me? Were you needing relief, numbness, escape, connection, or control? Number 3, what consequences do I keep forgetting in the moment? Because in the moment, the old pattern advertises relief, but it doesn't advertise what it is going to cost me. Number 4, what do I need before the next high-risk situation presents itself? Maybe a phone list, a phone call, a meeting, a safer route home, a boundary, or a pause before you act. Because that's where change becomes practical and feels doable. Not just another I'm done, but an internal conversation that says, here's what I do when the old pattern starts calling me back. I encourage you to practice, even if it's scripted at first. So let me tell you about a moment I had while I was in active addiction that should have really been my moment of moments. My kids were in the 4th or 5th grade. We were being evicted from our home. And it was because I had lost another job as a result of my drinking and using. I'll never forget standing there watching my babies' things, their toys, their clothes, all their little pieces of their life that I was supposed to be building for them, being carried out of the only home they knew. And the looks on their little faces, honestly, I'll never forget. I want you to picture that with me for a moment. 3 kids, devastated, confused, trying to understand why this was happening to them, and me standing there knowing exactly why. I said to myself right there in that moment, I'm absolutely done living like this. This is a shit life, and I'm done drinking. I'm done using. I'm done because I can't keep doing this to my children. And listen, I meant it with everything in me. I mean, really sincerely meant it. We ended up back at my mom's house because there was nowhere else to go that night. The kids were quiet. I was quiet. The atmosphere seemed awkward and uncomfortable. And within hours, and I mean seriously hours, I snuck into the bathroom, locked the door, and was hiding, smoking dope, and taking shots of vodka. This is the same damn day. The same day my children watched their lives get loaded into boxes. I'm telling you this because if you're sitting there right now wondering how you keep doing this to the people you love, I have been exactly where you are. And listen, I'm not telling this story to shame myself, and I'm certainly not to shame you. I'm telling you because that day proved something to me that took years to understand. Making that declaration and meaning it wasn't enough. Loving my kids wasn't enough. Living the consequences wasn't enough. Because underneath all of it, underneath the promises and the pain and the devastation, there was a pattern I didn't yet know how to interrupt. And that's what we're going to keep unpacking on this channel. So if you've gone back after swearing you're done, please hear me. That does not make you hopeless or a lost cause. But the pattern does need some honesty, not denial, not excuses, and not beating yourself into the ground either, but some real honesty. I want you to consider a few things. What's really pulling you back? What does that old behavior give you in the moment? What pain is showing up before it happens? What support do you need before the next hard moment? You're not just trying to stop using drugs and alcohol. You're learning how to live completely different. And that takes more than shame. It takes truth and support, self-reflection, and a solid plan. Listen, if you're still here, I want you to do one more thing before you close this video. Ask yourself this. What was happening right before the last time I went back? I'm not referring to the moment that you actually used or drank, but what was happening right before that? What were you feeling? What was the situation? Write it down or type it in the comments. Tell yourself the truth because that's where this work actually starts. And listen, if you're struggling to stay sober, I highly encourage you to reach out to your local substance abuse assessment center and obtain an assessment and look at possible treatment options. And then watch the next video. Because if you've ever felt like change is difficult or that change only occurs in rare circumstances, or if you have questioned why others in your life continue to use substances or participate in any other maladaptive behavior that seemed obvious to everyone around them, but didn't seem obvious to them, there's actually a name for this and how change is processed. It's called the stages of change. And once you understand it, it will help you understand and see how change works in yourself and in those around you. Listen, if this video has been helpful, would you take a second to like it and subscribe to The Recovery Mirror? It really helps this message reach more people who may need recovery education without shame. I also created a free reflection handout that goes with this topic. You can download it using the link in the description. And I want to let you know that my book, Beyond the Mask, is now available on Amazon. If you're a Kindle Unlimited customer at the time of this video, you can read it through your membership free of charge. The book goes deeper into shame, identity, survival patterns, self-forgiveness, and learning how to live beyond the version of yourself that was just trying to survive. It may also be helpful for families who are trying to understand and communicate with more compassion around substance use disorder. The link to the free handout and the book are both in the description below. And remember, you are worthy of recovery and you are worth the work. I'll see you next week.